Hello and welcome. In this video, we will be discussing elasticity. So we're going to be looking at the calculations of elasticity of demand, elasticity of supply, how to calculate income elasticity and cross elasticity, and we will be looking at the different graphs for the different types of elasticity. So we're going to start off with price elasticity of demand. This measures the responsiveness of consumers to a change in price. So when price changes, when it either increases or decreases, how do consumers react? Now you get two main elasticities. So you get elastic and you get inelastic. So elastic demand is highly responsive to a change in price. So a modest change in price leads to a large change in the quantity demanded. Inelastic demand is highly unresponsive to a change in price. So a substantial change in price leads to a small change in the quantity demanded. Then we move on to the methods of calculating elasticity. So you have two methods. One is point elasticity and the other one is midpoint or arc elasticity. So point elasticity, you say percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price. Now whenever you want to calculate the percentage change in anything, you say new minus old over old times 100. Okay, so to calculate the percentage change in your quantity demanded, you're going to say your new quantity demanded minus your old quantity demanded over your old quantity demanded times 100 all over your new price, which is your percentage change in price. So new price minus your old price all over your old price times 100. Okay. Then midpoint or arc elasticity. Here you say the percentage change in your quantity demanded over your average quantity all over the percentage change in price over your average price. So I'm not going to rewrite percentage change in quantity demanded and percentage change in price because we know that is new minus old over old times 100. So here you're going to say percentage change in your quantity demanded over your average quantity is your old quantity plus your new quantity over 2 to get an average. All over your percentage change in price over your average price again is your old price plus your new price over 2 to get an average. Okay, now we're going to do two practice questions. So it says here, calculate the elasticity of demand in the following scenarios. So A says the price of product X increased, I'm just going to highlight, increased from 50 to 55 Rand, which led to a decrease in the quantity demanded from 60 to 20. And we need to use point elasticity formula. It says here interpret your answer, but we haven't gotten to that part of the chapter, so we're not going to answer this part here. Right. Okay. So we're using point elasticity formula. So E of D is equals to a percentage change in your quantity demanded all over a percentage change in price. So percentage change in quantity demanded, remember new minus old over old times 100. So our quantity demanded changed from 60 to 20. So you're going to say 20 minus 60 over 60 times 100. All over percentage change in price. Price increased from 50 to 55. So a new price is 55 minus 50 all over 50 times 100. And this will give us minus 20 over 3, which is 6 minus 6.67. Now, whenever you answer these questions, make sure it's not in fraction. Okay. And they usually tell you how many decimals to round off to. Okay. Next one says the price of apples decreased from 10 Rand. Oh no. The price of apples decreased from 10 Rand to 8 Rand, which led to an increase in the quantity demanded from 10 to 15. Okay, so here we need to use arc elasticity. So E of D is equal to a percentage change in the quantity demanded over your average quantity all over the percentage change in your price over your average price. Okay, so I'm just going to use two different colors. So percentage change in quantity demanded is new minus old over old. So a new quantity, so quantity demanded changed from 10 to 15. So new is 15 minus 10 over 10 times 100. All over our average quantity, so you're going to say 10 plus 15 over 2. Okay. All over, let's use purple, your percentage change in price, so price decreased from 10 Rand to 8 Rand. So you're going to say 8 minus 10 over 10 times 100. All over your average price, so that's 10 plus 8 over 2. Now I recommend that you calculate this first, then you calculate this, and you put them over each other, and then you get an answer, right? So for this one, just gonna write over here. So for the first one, if you put it into the calculator and you get an answer, you get the answer of 4. Over the second part, you get an answer of minus 20 over 9, which gives you an answer of minus 1.8. So E of D is equals to minus 1.8. Okay. Now we look at the interpretations of demand. So you have different types of demand. So we said we have elastic and inelastic. Now we're going to look at the different types of elastic demand and inelastic demand. So perfectly elastic demand is when consumers are completely responsive to a change in price. So when you do these calculations here, your E of D is going to equal to infinity. And when you draw it on a graph, it is flat. Okay, it is a horizontal line. So whether price increases or price decreases, you're going to get a change in your quantity demanded all the time. So that is why if price increases, you're always going to get a change in price. If, for example, if you look here, if I say that price increased from P1 to just say P2 here, right? So it's going to move up. But either way, you're going to have the same quantities being demanded. Okay. Then you have perfectly inelastic demand. Here, consumers are completely unresponsive to a change in price. So your E of D is equal to 0. This is supposed to be demand. Okay. So if we look over here, if price had to increase from P1 to P2, the quantity demanded would stay the same. At P1, it was that amount. At P2, it's still going to be that amount. So when you draw a perfectly inelastic graph, it's a straight line, a vertical line. Okay. So your quantity demanded does not change with a change in price. Okay. Then unit elasticity. A percentage change in price equals a percentage change in quantity demanded. So here your E of D will equal to 1. Okay. So for example, if I say your price increased from 3 Rand to 4 Rand and your quantity then decreased from 4 units to 3 units. Okay. Then if you put this into your formula, you would get 1 as your answer. Okay, can you see that if you say 4 minus 3, you're going to get 1. And if you say again 4 minus 3, you're going to get 1. So you're going to get an answer of 1. Then inelastic demand is a percentage change in price results in a small change in your quantity demanded. So E of D here is less than 1. So you're going to get a negative answer. For example, if I tell you that price increased from 3 Rand to 4 Rand and your quantity decreased from 5 units to 4 units, right? If you put this into your formula, you will get a negative answer. But when price increased, your quantity demanded only changed by 1 unit. Okay, so it's a small change. Elastic demand is a percentage change in price results in a larger percentage change in your quantity demanded. So E of D is more than 1 when you do your calculation. So if we look over here, they say here in this graph that price increased from 50 to 60, okay? And when this happened, our quantity demanded decreased from 100 units to 50 units. So can you see that this is a whole 50 units of quantity demanded that decreased compared to this one, which was only 1 unit. Okay, so this is a larger change. Inelastic demand is a small change and elastic demand is a larger change. Okay, now we look at the total revenue test. Now your total revenue test is to determine the elasticity of demand between any two prices. So in order to calculate your total revenue, you say price times quantity. Okay. Now you also get different types of demand when you're doing your total revenue test. So for elastic demand, your total revenue changes in the opposite direction from price. So if price has to increase, your total revenue will decrease. Okay. So your elastic demand curve is a more flat curve compared to your inelastic demand, which is a more steeper curve. Okay, so if for example here, if I had to give you an example, this is demand. Okay, if your demand had to change from 1 Rand to 2 Rand, so demand will change from 40 to 10. Okay, 40 to 10. So to calculate your total revenue, let's make this A and B. At A, your total revenue equals 20. And at B, your total revenue equals 40. So can you see that when price increased, our total revenue decreased from 40 to 20? Okay. Then for inelastic demand, total revenue changes in the same direction as price. So if price increases, your total revenue will increase. Again, we'll do an example here. Let's do that. So if we have price of 1 and say 4, and you have a change in your demand from 10 to 20. So 4 and 10 and 20, right? So total, let's make this A and this B. So at A, your total revenue is 40, okay? And at B, your total revenue is 20. So when your price increased from 1 Rand to 4 Rand, your total revenue increased from 20 to 40. Okay. Now we look at unit elastic demand for your total revenue test. Now, for your total revenue test, it is a curved schedule or curve, right? Whereas for normal, it's just a straight line. So here, total revenue does not change when price changes. So, for example, over here, you have $3 and $1. If we had to increase it from $1 to $3, then our quantity demanded would change from 30 to 10. But if you calculate your total revenue, so at point E, 3 times 10 is 30. And at point F, 1 times 30 is 30. So can you see that your total revenue stayed the same when your price changed? So here there's no change. Okay, now we're going to look at the determinants of elasticity of demand. Okay, so you have substitutability, proportion of income, luxury versus necessity, and time. So substitutability, the larger the number of substitutes that are available, the greater the price elasticity of demand. Okay, so the more substitutes you have, the greater the elasticity of demand because they can substitute the good easily, right? So when prices change, then the demand will change. Proportion of income, a price change of low price goods is low price elasticity, and a change in price of high price goods are high price elasticity. Then luxury versus necessity. The more the good is considered to be a luxury than a necessity, the greater the price elasticity. And time, demand is more elastic the longer the time period under consideration. Consumers often need time to adjust to price changes. Okay. Then we look at price elasticity of supply. So this is a responsiveness of producers to a change in price. Again, you have point elasticity and midpoint or arc elasticity. It is the same, only thing you're substituting it with quantity supplied. So price elasticity of supply using point elasticity, it's a percentage change in your quantity supplied over the percentage change in your price. And your midpoint or arc elasticity, you have the percentage change in your quantity over your average quantity. Okay? And the percentage change in your price over your average price. Now, for elasticity of supply, your graphs are exactly the same as the demand. Only thing, instead of saying D, you're going to put an S. But for this price elasticity of supply, we look at 3 market periods. You look at the market period, you look at the short run, and you look at the long run. So the market period is the period that occurs when the time immediately after the change in the market price is too short for producers to respond with a change in the quantity supplied. So that is why your E of S would be 0. Okay, so in your market period, your elasticity curve or your supply curve would be straight. So a change in price would not result in a change in your quantity supplied because suppliers or producers do not have enough time to respond to the change. Okay, so that is why it is a vertical line. Then you have the short run. This is a period of time too short to change plant capacity, but long enough to use the fixed plant more or less intensely. So here your E of S is less than 1. Okay, so the short run supply is more elastic than in the immediate market period. Okay, so can you see that it's a little bit more elastic, but it's not completely elastic. So you do have a response to a change in your prices, but it's not a huge change. Okay, so if you look here, if your price had to increase, then your quantity supplied would also increase, but by a very small amount. Okay, then the long run. So the long run is a time period long enough for firms to adjust their plant sizes and for new firms to enter the industry. So here your E of S is greater than 1. So if you have a change in price, so for example an increase in price, you're going to have a larger change in your quantity supplied. So this would be a positive number, so it will be a big or a large number. Okay, because producers have enough time to respond to that change in your price. Now we look at cross elasticity of demand. Now, cross elasticity of demand measures how sensitive consumers' purchases of one product are to a change in the price of another product. How do we calculate cross elasticity of demand? It's a percentage change in the quantity demanded of good 1 over the percentage change in the price of good 2. Okay. Now we look at substitute goods, complementary goods, and independent goods when we look at cross elasticity of demand. So substitute goods, the cross elasticity of demand is positive. Okay, so E of xy is greater than 1. So if price increases of good X, then demand for good Y will increase, because now more people will purchase good Y because the price of good X has increased. So this is like Coke and Pepsi. If the price of Coke increases, more people will purchase Pepsi because it is the cheaper option. Okay. Then you have complementary goods. So here cross elasticity of demand is negative. So E of xy is less than 1. So if your price of one good increases, the demand for the other one will decrease. So this is like toothpaste and toothbrushes, right? Or even tennis rackets and tennis balls. You can't use one without the other. So if the price of one increases, less people are going to buy it. Therefore, the demand for the other one is going to decrease. Okay, then you have independent goods. So these are zero or near zero cross elasticity of demand. So when you calculate your elasticity, it's going to equal to 0 or near 0. So these goods are not related to each other at all. Like pancakes and shoes, like what's the relationship between them? Nothing. Okay. So when you look at cross elasticity of demand, you look at substitute goods, complementary goods, and independent goods. Okay. Then you have income elasticity of demand. So income elasticity of demand measures the degree to which consumers respond to a change in income by buying more or less of a good. So if income increases, they'll purchase more. If income decreases, they'll purchase less. Or it may be the other way around, okay? Income elasticity of demand is equals to a percentage change in your quantity demanded over percentage change in your income. Again, it's just new minus old over old for both of them. Now, when we look at income elasticity, you're looking at normal goods, you look at inferior goods, and you also look at your luxury goods, right? So normal goods, your income elasticity is positive, okay? So E of I is more than 1. So here, when income increases, your quantity demanded for these goods will increase. For example, a vehicle. If a person earns more income, they will be able to purchase a vehicle. So the quantity demanded for these vehicles will increase. Then you have inferior goods. This is a negative income elasticity. So E of I is less than 0. So it's negative. So if income increases, quantity demanded decreases. Now these are things like your second-hand goods or your cheaper quality goods. If people can afford to purchase a better quality good, they will purchase that. So that is why the quantity demanded for these goods will decrease. Okay, now the one I didn't do was a luxury good, and this is when your income elasticity is greater than 1. Okay, then it's a luxury good. Okay, now we're looking at consumer surpluses and producer surpluses. Okay, so a consumer surplus is the difference between the maximum price a consumer is willing to pay for an additional unit of a product and its market price. So remember when we did demand and supply, we said that when the market is in equilibrium, we get the market price and quantity. So that is what this represents, your market price. But consumers are willing to pay a higher price than the market price. So that is why you have a consumer surplus. Okay, because now demand is more than that market price and quantity that you have here. Okay. Then you have the producer surplus. This is the difference between the actual price a producer receives and the minimum acceptable price. So again, your market price is your minimum acceptable price, and these are the prices which your producer is willing to sell at. So this is your producer surplus. Okay. Now, efficiency losses is also known as deadweight losses. So this is a reduction of combined consumer and producer surpluses with under or overproduction of a product, right? So overproduction, remember we had our consumer and producer surpluses, right? So this, if you look at this first graph, it says efficiency losses due to overproduction. So here you're looking at your supply curve. So this is our market price and our market quantity. But producers are then producing at this quantity here, which is an overproduction. And if you produce over your market quantity or your equilibrium quantity, then you have more, you're producing more than you need to. So you're going to be making a loss because people are not going to buy all of your goods. Then efficiency losses due to underproduction. Again, this is your market price and your market quantity. If you produce less than that, you're making a loss because you're not producing enough to satisfy demand. So that is what these triangles represent. Efficiency loss from overproduction and underproduction. You put those two together and that gives you your efficiency loss or your deadweight loss. Okay, now we're going to look at practice questions. So it says calculate the elasticities listed below given the following information. Okay, so A says price elasticity of demand for Y, B is income elasticity for X, cross elasticity for X, and price elasticity of supply for Y. We need to interpret the answers for each scenario. Okay. So for the first one, we say price elasticity for demand of Y, right? It doesn't say which formula to use, point or arc. I'm just going to go with point elasticity for now. So price elasticity of demand for Y, E of D is equal to a percentage change in your quantity demanded over your percentage change in your price. Okay, so in this one here, we have a percentage change in your quantity demanded for Y. So we're looking at this column here, and the percentage change in price. So we're looking at that column there. So this is equal to 40 minus 45 over 45 times 100 all over 21 minus 15 over 15 times 100. Okay, and this will give us an answer of minus 0.28. Okay, now we need to interpret this answer. So we looked at the different elasticities. So when you have a negative answer, it means E of D is less than 1. And when E of D is less than 1, let me just use another color. So our E of D is less than, is less than 1. Therefore, we have an inelastic demand. Okay. Next one. It says income elasticity of demand for X. So income elasticity, you say E of I is equals to a percentage change in your quantity demanded over a percentage change in your income. Okay, so if we go back, it's income elasticity for X. So you look at the quantity demanded for X, which is 50 and 35, and our income changed from 2,500 to 3,000. So here you're going to say 35 minus 50 over 50 times 100 over a change in your income. So it increased from 2,500 to 3,000 times 100, and this is going to give us an answer of minus 1.5. Now our income elasticity is negative. Okay, so E of I is less than 1. When your income elasticity is negative, it means that when you have when your income increased, the demand for this product decreased, right? So it means that it is an inferior good. Okay. Next is cross elasticity of demand for X. So cross elasticity, you say E of XY is a percentage change in your quantity demanded of X over the percentage change in price of Y. So if we go back, we're looking at the the cross elasticity for X again. So the percentage change in your quantity demanded for X. So we're looking at this again, and we're looking at the price of Y. Okay. So here you're going to say it's 35 minus 50 over 50 times 100 all over 21 minus 15 over 15 times 100. And we get an answer of minus 0.75. Okay, now again, our E of XY is negative. So when you have a negative E of XY, it means that this good is a complementary good. Okay. Then the last one, the price elasticity of supply for Y. Okay, so price elasticity of supply, we're going to calculate it. So you use the formula E of X is equals to the percentage change in your quantity supplied over the percentage change in price. Okay, so this is equal to, if we go back, we're looking at this. So supply changed from 50 to 60, and you're looking at change in price for Y. So we're looking at this one here, a change in from 15 to 21. Okay, so you're going to say it's 60 minus 50 over 50 times 100 all over 21 minus 15 over 15 times 100. Okay, and this is going to give you an answer of 0.5. So when your E of S, when your elasticity of supply is greater than 1, or not greater than 1, is greater than 0, it means it's positive. Okay, then you have the long run supply curve, and it means that it is elastic. Okay, and that is it for this video. I hope it helped you in some way, and thank you.